Yo, Brodies and Bays. Welcome. This is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 48. This is where you come for your fantasy football needs and to chop it up about the latest NFL news. I am the wonderful Dynasty Bro Dot here with my co-bro.
Got Dynasty Bro Vic. What's up, everybody?
How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well, because we got some fire-ass guests on today, part of our fantasy football family. We got Mike, a.k.a. Dynasty Dad. They be on Twitter like, hey, thanks, Dad. Hey, and we got Jared, and these are the two men from the Dynasty Refinery Podcast. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us on the show. You know, I'm glad you brought that up. There's Dynasty dads often imitated but never duplicated. There's so many Dynasty dads all over the place, you know, and people keep sending me things. They're like, yo, there's a new Dynasty dad. I'm like, oh, come on. There's a lot of dads out there. What about you, Jared?
Oh, man, I'm excited to get to talk with you guys again. It was a fun one last time on our show, and we've been itching to get to hang out and talk some fan or Dynasty football with you guys. You guys are the best.
Man, I want to
top
say
notch.
This. I want to say you came on our podcast with this wonderful lighting, man. Tell the good people how you got this impeccable lighting on your face, man, because we need to do better or something right now.
Well, apparently it's called a ring light, and I think Kim Kardashian would be jealous of this right now. My fiance is in the corner looking at me like she said when she came in, like with the mic. Oh, I'm hitting my mic with the mic and the light and everything. She's like, it looks like you're seriously shooting a porno right now, and I feel like I am.
do you have her holding the actual light there and moving it back and forth?
Yeah, she's back there
side?
Like panning it and
Like
everything. Oh yeah,
on the right side than the left. So you know, you get that going. There you go.
Well, you're picture perfect today, man. Might I say myself?
Thank you, my man.
Hey, I was gonna ask for the OnlyFans link, man.
We'll post the link at the bottom when we're done here.
Right,
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so today we will be talking some co-GM etiquette. And look, me and Vic probably couldn't talk this out by ourselves with all the struggles we've been doing with the Scott Fishbowl leagues and all these other dynasty leagues that we are on together. So we had to reach out and get you guys on because you guys have a great podcast. Like you said, we were already on one time. Shout out to you guys for allowing us to be on there. And I know you guys are in some leagues doing the co-GM thing together. Probably done did it with other people too. So we're here to give people some tips, and, you know, the proper way to really be a co-GM with somebody without taking somebody's head off. So that's the main thing. We got some good topics from What's the Word and the Hood TMZ from Dynasty Bro Vic. But before we get to that, man, I hope you guys are ready. We're going to do some football resumes, man. We like to do the real life football resume and the fantasy football resume. So you guys want to decide who goes first? I'll let you decide who wants to go first, and then
I'm going to give it to the man with the lighting. You know what I mean? He's got the light on.
Really?
He feels like he's the guy to go first.
Yeah, he's like
right.
Special today, man. Every time I look at the screen, like that's what I see. Like I don't care like what I'm trying to do. It's you.
It's like
I'm
actual
glowing.
daytime television. You know what I mean? He's got a camera crew. He probably has a makeup crew. He's looking pretty on that.
I do. She's gonna come buff me up like halfway through, make sure I'm still on point, on fleek, whatever the kids are saying these days.
On fleek. That was really a thing.
It was.
That was
really
a thing, yeah,
All
for
right.
a little bit. So what are we talking about? We're
right,
talking
so-
about how me and Mike stopped from killing each other while co-managing a dynasty team.
Just
We will
resumes
get to
right now.
that. We will get to that.
Oh, okay.
We're going to walk through these resumes first. So I'm going to ask you about your real life football resume so you can walk me through it. Tell me if you played any real life football, when it started and when it ended. I don't care if it was 5 minutes in grade school and you stopped. I need to know any details. Just don't say I didn't play if you played. Be honest with us.
I did play. I played football. I actually started when I was really young, probably about the age of 8. And then I played till I was like 10. And then my parents were like, we want you to try something else. So I played hockey for a few years. And then I think it was 9th grade year, I was like, you know what, forget this. I was like, I'm playing football again. All my buddies are playing football. So I started playing again in middle school. And I played through my senior year. I was a running back. And actually, I led the team in touches by, I think I had over 100 more touches than anyone else on the team that year, all purpose. I was a kickoff returner. I ended up having like, I don't know, maybe 20 receptions that year. And I had 180 rushes. And it was like, I don't know, maybe like 1,200 all-purpose yards. My team was not very good, but I did have fun doing it. I also played linebacker for defense, which was kind of out of place for me because what happened was I played safety originally, and our coach comes over, and me and this other guy that I was friends with, we played safety. And when you did the D-back practices, they were like easy, man. It was like dropping back and catching passes and shit, and like, you know, recognizing offensive schemes and stuff. But the linebacker practices, those were in the trenches, man. Like those guys used to like, they'd be practicing with the linemen and like, it was all kinds of hitting and shit. So like, you didn't want to be a linebacker if you were like on the smaller side. And the coach comes over, and a couple guys had gotten hurt at the position. And he's like, he's looking around. He's like, I need 2 linebackers. And he goes, my last name's Fox, by the way. He goes, Fox, Beamer, get over here, linebackers. And I couldn't have been any more sad about that because I was like a buck, I don't know, probably like $175 then. And man, I'll tell you what, it was tough. I ended up enjoying being a linebacker, but running back was definitely my thing. I wasn't fast enough to be a running back at the next level. I got some offers to play safety, but I ended up, you know, I ended up having a kid. Long story short, you know, that cut my whole college ambitions short, but I'm very grateful for my children. So, I mean, that was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Cool. The beginning of your resume sounded so awesome, man. I thought it was just going up. I was like, man, these are numbers like.
yeah, no, I'm from a small high school, so it was you don't have to be the greatest athlete. I wasn't bad. I was all right. I was decent, but if I had gone to like, you know, a big school, it might have been a little different.
Doesn't matter. It's documented.
If you're in any of the group chats with Jared, you already know that story. He likes that one.
Yeah. I pull up pictures, man. I'm gonna pull up a picture right now while you're talking to Mike.
Okay. Well, no, before we switch over to Mike.
Yeah, you're done.
The other second half of your
we got a
resume,
second half. Sorry.
I need you to let me know when you started playing fantasy football and how many leagues you're in this moment currently, and how many championships you got, man, like throughout the years that you can remember off the top.
All right. So I think the amount of leagues I'm in right now is 8. Last year, I think I was in 10, but I try to keep it short. I'm in like a keeper league, a redraft league, and then probably 6 dynasty leagues. And what was the other part of the question? How long I've done it?
How long you been playing fantasy? Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
way.
sorry. It took so much concentration to think of that. I think I've been doing it since I was like maybe a sophomore in high school, and I'm 28 now. So probably about 10 years I've been playing fantasy. And I had been like cursed, man. A couple years, like when I had done it early, I was killing it, and I always lost early in the playoffs, and it just pissed me off so much. And I was like, what is going on? Why do I keep having these one loss? I picked a team that had Randy Moss on his hot year, Adrian Peterson as a rookie, and like all these dudes, and I still lost first round of the playoffs. And it was so upsetting. So finally, like 3 years in, I think I was like 19 years old, I win my first ship, and that's when I got into like fantasy, and I'm like, man, I am legit. You know, I thought I was the shit, and you know, I ended up meeting Mike, and he got me into dynasty fantasy. So he was kind of
dominating Mike ever since you met him.
Oh, that's right. Oh, he's shaking his head. No, he's
no.
Hey, we're starting beef. This is this
Yeah.
is what we're here for.
he's right up
Instigate.
the street. I'm coming, Mike.
We're normally on the same sofa, so we had to separate a little bit for this episode.
No.
Make sure
We'd be like
they don't
slapping
get the
each other and
fires
shit
going.
right now.
Good call, man. That's a good call.
It was.
I like
This
that.
one's gonna get heated.
So you got a pretty good resume on both sides of the football life, real life and fantasy. So
Love
shout out to
football.
that. Shout out to that. All right, Mike. You know you gotta top that now.
All right,
right?
let's go.
Look,
So football resume. I never
Okay.
actually played in high school, but I dominated the backyard. I dominated the schoolyard. Yo, you should see me out there. I'm the dynasty dad. I got 4 kids. I'm out there all-time quarterback, man. I light it up.
You should
know,
see
like-
his dad.
Yo, yeah, we played. So my son, Matthew, he'll be turning 9 here, and every year he has like a request that he wants to do. And 2 years ago, we had the biggest Nerf gun battle ever. 900 Nerf bullets. Jared and I were out in the middle of the park just shooting Nerf bullets at each other, capture the flag. And last year he wanted all of us to play football. So Jared, my dad, like everybody we knew, we played a huge flag football game. You know what I mean? And my dad broke Jared's ankles there a little bit. He's still recovering.
Oh, he did. Oh, and he's got this big white like beard, like a wizard. And I had a picture of it. He's just like stiff arming me. It was amazing.
It was like Gandalf. You know what I mean? Like
put on a
but no, so I didn't really play. I played baseball and basketball, and got a scholarship to play Division II baseball. So that was more my thing. I focused more on that. And Jared's a little bit shorter than I am. I'm 6'2", so I was more the basketball guy. He's the football guy.
Yeah,
that's this connection. I was more the basketball guy. Vic was the football guy.
Yeah, I was the football player that looked like a basketball player, but with jack layups.
Yep.
So,
hell yeah.
That was me. Hey, quick question: what position in baseball did you play?
Well, in high school, I played shortstop and pitcher, and then when I went to college, like every shortstop and pitcher, you moved to the outfield. Okay. I dropped bombs, so they had to try to get me in the lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
our DJ was an amazing baseball player. Amazing baseball player back in the day.
Oh,
there we go. Senior year, baby.
Oh man. Okay. You look jacked up right there, man.
Keep hitting my mic. I'm getting too excited now. Once you get me talking about high school football, like anyone in my life will tell you, like, don't even open that can of worms, because I'll start reminiscing like it was the only thing that's ever happened in my entire life. And
that wasn't even the hand.
I'm that guy.
The hand that hit the mic. I mean, you're that excited. It's getting out of control.
Yeah, you know what that was.
All right, so Mike, you gotta let us know.
All right,
fantasy. How many years you been playing?
Yeah.
How many championships you got? And
so I've been playing since 2001. I'm the old man in the group here, and I started out in a work league, and that league now is 19 years old, and I've been in the ship 16 of those years.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm pretty good at this against like the work guys. Let's start branching out here. I started adding some more leagues, and then a friend of mine, the Dynasty professor, he got me into my first Dynasty league was all writers, and everybody in there was already in the industry. Tyler Gunther was in there. John Bosch, there's some big timers in this league, and I come in the first year and I win it all, and then I second year I won it again. I'm like, yo, this is where it's at. Like, this is what I got to get into, and right now I'm actually in 15 leagues. I told myself I wouldn't do any startups this off season. Last year was the best year I've ever had. I was in 10 leagues. I clinched the number 1 seed in 7 of them and got the 101 in the other 3. You know what I mean? That's where you're either first or last. You know what I mean? You don't want to be somewhere there in the middle. So that was really where Jared and I started talking Dynasty, and really where the Dynasty refinery happened was, I got him into it, and we were in a couple leagues together, and just, from there, friendship obviously grew, and obviously started, building some leagues, and we have our own Dynasty refinery leagues now, and a lot of industry leagues like the one we do with you guys.
Well, it's crazy because like me and Mike's friendship is completely built off of fantasy football. Like that's how we met and then like bonded through that and everything. Like it's always been shaped around fantasy football, mostly Dynasty football.
Can I tell them the intro story?
Do it.
All right. So here's the story. All right. I am divorced right now, and my amazing girlfriend's sitting over here next to me. But at the time, Jared has a son, and I have 3 sons, and they were at the park. So my ex-wife starts hitting on Jared a little bit, starts talking with him. Apparently she bragged that I was good at fantasy football, which I don't know if that's something.
And I'm like, fantasy football, huh?
So she invites him back to my house, and then they're like talking. I come in, and Jared and I instantly just hit it off, start talking fantasy football. So it went from maybe a point of seduction to, Jared and I just coming together and literally talking football for hours, and then like a friendship grew out of it. I mean, and our kids are friends, and we talk fantasy football literally all the time. So we're like, let's start a podcast, might as well start talking about it a little bit more and have some followers. So
that's cool.
I will say
it's the only relationship ever to come out of adultery or
attempted.
Yeah, no, nothing happened.
I'll say this: if I'm sitting on a park bench, a lady comes up to me like, "Hey, what you doing with that 101?"
Exactly. Yo, that would turn me on. Yo, she starts talking. She's like, "You taking Jonathan Taylor or Clyde Edwards-Helaire?" I'm like, "I'm taking you home."
Yeah, right. You believe in all this Edwards-Helaire hype? Yeah, no, that would be match made in heaven.
That's where it's at.
Already. That is funny. All right, man. I love both of you guys' resumes. I'm not going to lie. I don't believe the defense thing since Mike Dad broke your ankles. I'm just
He
saying,
did.
but
He
it is what
did.
it is. It is what it is. All right.
That's okay.
So that's the resumes. So what we're going to do is get into what's the word. We have some news from Dynasty Bro Vic, called it the Hood TMZ. So let's get into that, and he'll break the news, and then we'll chime in. So that's how we do that.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing those resumes. And I do want to put out there, our very first episode was football resume. So if you guys are interested, any listeners, go back and check that out. That's our very first episode. All right, let's get into what's the word. So I got a couple of players, man. I just want to talk through, get your guys' feedback on. So let's start with AJ Green. He signed a 1-year tender with the Cincinnati Bengals for $17.9 million. So do you guys think this is his last season in Cincinnati, or do you think he's going to ball out and they're going to keep him?
I think AJ Green is like a nice. If you're a contender in Dynasty right now, I mean the guy. Let's go to his last healthy season. Obviously, 2017, over 1,000 yards, over 70 catches, 8 touchdowns. I mean, when the guy's on the football field, he gets it done. You know, I feel like last year was like he had that high ankle sprain and sat out all 16 games. I mean, we all know what was going on. AJ Green was not trying to play for a team that was playing that way. But now you get him with Joe Burrow, and if he's healthy, I mean, the sky's the limit. We all know the injury is history. I mean, he's lost 26 games over the last 3 seasons. I mean, he has not been on the field as much as he's been on the sideline. But when AJ Green plays, I feel like in redraft, he's a nice guy. I know Jared got him in his Scott Fishbowl team. I was debating it back and forth. I still think Tyler Boyd is the wide receiver, obviously, to own there. But AJ Green could have, another coming out here this season and maybe into next season. But I feel like at 32 years old, we're starting to get towards the end here. Which is sad because when I really started getting into Dynasty, it was Julio and AJ Green debate,
Green.
And those guys coming in, we have not had anything like that ever since. I mean, those guys straight up, 1A, 1B, 2 of the most dominant wide receivers over the last 10 years.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with like dynasty value of him. Like, he doesn't have all that much value. As for this coming year, I personally believe that he's going to have a big year. But I believe you were asking, is this going to be his last year in Cincinnati? And I absolutely do believe that. I think he's the great fit to break Burrow in this year, give him a good veteran receiver. And I think next year with Higgins and Tyler Boyd and even John Ross as a deep threat, I think they're going to be perfectly content with that. And I think that raises all their values. They're guys that you're probably going to want to target right now while AJ Green's there if you're building. Especially Higgins, just because, man, he's so cheap. Like, he's going in like the early second of rookie drafts right now. Is that about right?
Yeah.
And it's just, and it's crazy because he could be potentially the wide receiver 1 on that team. I mean, he's got the same kind of resume as Tyler Boyd. So it's up in the air. It's going to be whoever he has a better rapport with. But I mean, yeah, I do believe it's his last year in Cincinnati, and he'll probably play another year or two, a couple years somewhere else. But yeah, they would have signed him to a contract if they were interested in keeping him any longer than that, I believe. And you'd have to believe that they're content with the receivers going into the next year, other than maybe like a slot guy. So I would just, what I've been preaching is, yes, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, they're just guys that you want to hop on now. While before they raise in value, because I do believe that they're both going to be hot assets, because Joe Burrow is absolutely going to be legit.
Yeah,
it's a perfect 1-year rental. I mean, obviously putting the franchise tag on him, he can teach those young wide receivers how to be legitimate professional wide receivers, because that's what AJ Green's been over the course of his career, and it gives Joe Burrow a legit wide receiver core. I mean, that's going to be exciting right off the bat. Yeah, I know you guys were happy I took Joe Burrow, in our Ultimate Dynasty podcast league, so you can get Jonathan Taylor. Man, that draft had to be the day after the draft, Actually, the NFL draft wasn't over, and I'm like, I love Jonathan Taylor, and if I could do a do-over, but I'm glad I got Joe Burrow as well.
Thank you for that. I will say, AJ Green's value in Dynasty just fell off the map, man. We're drafting currently in a Campus to Canton league, and AJ Green just now went, and I think every rookie receiver that already went. When I say every rookie receiver is off the board, and it's just like nobody wanted AJ. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even want AJ because
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was building my team a certain way, but just seeing AJ keep falling, I'm like, what are we doing? Even telling myself like I'm just losing value, which means I'm probably going to go target him in a lot of trades and a lot of other dynasty leagues, man, because I don't think nobody wants him.
Yeah, I posted a poll the other day, and people said late second or 2/3 they'd be willing to take for him. And it's like
gosh.
Jared and I
Ooh.
we preach drafting, robust RBs early. Take those running backs because those wide receivers fall so much. And I mean, in Dynasty Refinery Listener League 1, I got AJ Green, I think, in the 16th round, and I hammered home the running backs in the beginning, and now I have. Let's be honest. I mean, if he plays the way he can, that's a rock solid wide receiver 2 with possible wide receiver 1 upside in the 16th round for a year, to bridge some of these younger guys you're drafting.
Yeah, I got AJ Green for 421 fourth round picks. Like, I'm just like, what are you even gonna do with those 4 fourth round picks? I didn't want them. Like, I can't even drop enough guys to make those fucking picks. And you're gonna take him for AJ Green, who's at least gonna have a couple good years. I mean, next year I expect the world of him. I took him to Scott Fishbowl over some legitimate wide receivers, including Tyler Boyd, because I think he's gonna light it up. But 4 fourth rounds, yes, please.
Yeah. And to close it out, so Mike, you talked about AJ Green and Julio coming out the same high school class. That's actually the high school class I came out of, so 2007. I remember that year Julio was ranked number 1, AJ Green was ranked number 2, and I was ranked 40,476. So
nice, just
way
right
off the
behind
road.
him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not too far.
I was playing in the backyard with my kids.
Your
so,
resume.
I mean, at that point, I was ranked considerably lower.
Yeah.
Hey, Vic thinks his hands are way better than what they are in real life. Just to let you know.
Oh, now they're gonna start fighting.
I got 83 hands in Madden. Look out for that episode. It's coming soon. We do a Madden redraft episode every year where we look at who has 83 hands, and then we also look at the top 5 at each position to see if it aligns with fantasy football rankings for the season. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, but yeah,
that's cool. I
But,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that. All right, another player I want to talk about is Dak Prescott. So he also signed another tender with the Dallas Cowboys. So he got franchise tag for $31.4 million. Do you guys see Dak sticking around in Dallas for the long term, or are they going to keep playing this franchise tag deal? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jared.
With Dak, it seems hard and far-fetched to believe that he would leave. But at the same time, I think I did read that no quarterback that's ever played under the franchise tag has returned. They've always ended up leaving their team. Is that true? Is that I just read that little tidbit, and I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit statistically, it's a little bit alarming reading something like that. Is anyone looking that up to fact check me? Because there's going to be somebody who's just like, no, dude, that's not right. If everybody's like, you're on your own on that one. I'm pretty sure I did read that.
Even if it's no one, I feel like it's resounding number of people. You know what I mean? Like, they don't, I mean, when you slap the franchise tag on a quarterback, most of them take it as, a sign of disrespect because they don't want to keep you long term. They aren't willing to give you that big contract like Patrick Mahomes got. And the money that they threw at Dak Prescott was pretty. I feel like it was $34 million that he turned down.
He's feeling himself.
I know. But no, forget about the money he wants. Like, he thinks he should be the highest paid player in NFL history. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy.
I feel like they do make an aggressive offer on him, though. I mean, I feel like both sides come together here a little bit because he seems like he's a good fit. I love him in Dynasty. I mean, he's been rock solid. He was a QB2 last year. We have him in our top 5 over at Dynasty Refinery. And the wide receivers there, I mean, they paid Zeke. They paid everybody. It's going to be tough for them to do it. But I feel like at some point here they get it done just because I feel like Dak's going to, lead them into the playoffs here again, and they're going to have to pay him.
They got to get out of that Cooper contract. If they can do that, they could actually swing it.
I know a lot of people are talking about, the fact that they signed Andy Dalton was more than just a handcuff. That was more of, if they have him next year, you're talking at less than $10 million for Andy Dalton. The defense is pretty solid. The running game's ridiculous.
Andy Dalton isn't horrible.
Exactly.
Horrible.
If Andy Dalton is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit.
He's your ginger brother.
Jared always makes fun of the gingers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't have the lighting Jared does, but if I'm Team Ginger over here, you know what I mean? It would be sticking out.
My little fire crotch. Mike's turning red. He's like, oh shit.
Sounded a little bit gay on the Dynasty Refinery side. You see why I'm not
It
on the
does.
sofa with him today?
It does.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say these things on our show, so I'm getting dirty right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm uncensored. I'm off the
censor-
walls.
I make sure Jared's censored on our show.
He does.
Being the
does.
Dynasty dad, I can't like drop F-bombs and my kids listen to it and make the commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very true.
But this show, hey, we're good to go.
Yep.
Good.
Oh yeah, you guys know how we get down. But I do want to add. So next year, if they do franchise tag Dak, they would owe him $37 million. So that price tag's gonna keep going up on the 1-year tender. But I do think all this is a calculated move by Dak. Given Pat did just sign his extended deal with the Chiefs, especially with the salary cap baked into it, so he can earn more. So even though Dak won't earn Pat Mahomes type money, but even just putting in that type of incentive where, hey, it's based on the salary cap, I think that does Dak some justice as it relates to doing some good business. So I think he held out at the right time. Maybe he was advised and he anticipated the nature of these contracts are going to be different. So I do see that being a benefit.
Dak better take that goddamn money, man. All them players they didn't build that team for him. He need to quit playing.
I know
It's all about the money, man.
The thing that sticks out to me with that Dalton contract is, I mean, Jameis Winston's a better fit there, and what Jameis made a little over $1 million to go be the backup or maybe even third stringer for New Orleans. So they paid Andy Dalton with some incentive to keep him there. So I mean, they're a little worried too.
Yeah.
Dak better take that money for Winston, go 30 for 30 in Dallas.
Yeah.
In a couple
Ooh,
of years.
that's a hot take right there. Winston to Dallas, huh?
I miss those Jameis Winston interceptions. It made it a lot easier to stream defenses.
Yeah.
I would love that as an Eagles fan, by the way.
I don't blame
Love it.
I'll second
Love
that.
I like Winston going to the
Yeah.
Steelers. I like Winston in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's a big arm offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've always said he's just like Ben Roethlisberger. They're almost like the
Yeah.
same quarterback, right?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
They really are.
All right, one more player, and then we'll get out of here on the players at least. So Derrick Henry, he signed an extension with the Tennessee Titans, so 4 years, $50 million deal this past Wednesday. Did you guys, see that coming? What do you guys
I
think?
did not, given what's been going on, obviously, with the way running back money has gone and what we've seen from the Todd Gurley contract and what we've seen from all these different big contracts where teams regret it afterwards, Derrick Henry just seemed to be on the way out, but Tennessee needs him. If they're going to be even remotely a quality football team, it has to funnel around Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry last year, to what he did in the playoffs was ridiculous, but he totaled 418 touches last year. From a dynasty perspective, I feel like this is an opportunity where you can sell again because nobody wanted Derrick Henry. They wanted him for the playoffs last year, but in dynasty startups, he's been falling like crazy. But the numbers he put up were just astronomical. I mean, 1,500 yards during the season, and then he was almost averaging 200 yards a game in the playoffs. He carried them. So it made sense for Tennessee. They can get out of it after 2 years, with it's pretty front loaded with things, but they paid him legit. I mean, 4 years, $50 million. They're building around Derrick Henry. Early part of his career, though, he didn't get a lot of carries, so it should be interesting to see how it pans out. I feel like everybody in Dynasty and in redraft, they want those PPR running backs, and Derrick Henry is not that with just, a little over 20 receptions the last 2 seasons. But the guy can straight run the rock. He's no Jared Fox. He had the most carries there. But Derrick Henry's the same way. I mean, over 100 touches more than anybody last year.
Man.
When you factor in the playoffs, So you're our Derrick Henry for our podcast.
Good job.
Yeah.
Jared.
No, I really like Derrick Henry for the Titans. He's that guy that he's one of those rare running backs that as the rest of the league starts to wear down towards the end of the year, he just keeps going and he gets stronger. And every year at the end of the year he lights it up. And that's the reason I do think they have the type of team that could make it to the playoffs again. And I don't know if they'll have a magical run like they did last year, but I feel like if that's what they're thinking they are and are capable of doing again, that was a good move by them because I think it was like 23 mil guaranteed, I want to say. And you said they can get out of it after it was something like that. And you said they can get out of it after 2 years. So they could end up getting him for just over 10 million a year there. Right.
Yeah.
Something like that. So that was a smart move on their end.
Derrick Henry masks a lot of the warts that Ryan Tannehill has. I mean, there's not that many options there behind A.J. Brown. there's a lot. I've been saying Corey Davis, 5th-year breakout. I just did a
Oh,
draft
God.
for the FFPC and pros versus Joes. And I mean, the last pick in the 20th round, I took Corey Davis, and it still wasn't even sure if I should do it. Jared will make fun of me because I took him 101 with my first ever Dynasty rookie 101.
I offered you Michael Thomas for that pick.
Yeah,
by the way.
no, it did not go well. I mean,
Yeah.
he was trying to jump up there, and I took him over Kamara and McCaffrey, Fournette. I mean, all of them. I was like, give me Corey Davis, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I will
Forgive
say
Christian McCaffrey.
I will say Derrick Henry, now that this deal is done, because I was worried about them just running him into the ground again and then he's not being in that system anymore next year. He's the perfect hold. Me and Dynasty Bro Vic just talked about this. Perfect hold now because at least he's locked in for a couple years now in a system that's going to utilize him to be the non-PPR back that he is. It's going to be hard for any other team to use him like that. So I'm glad he's stuck in Tennessee. And I don't think you're going to get the value of what he's actually worth on your team if you go trade him. So he's just the perfect hold.
Absolutely.
Right now, so.
Yeah. And a running back like that, you don't trade until in season. The reason I was saying is you have your way out now is people were trying to deal them all off season and they were offering 107, 108. I mean, they were not offering a high value there at all. And I feel like Derrick Henry in season, presents himself as a great guy. If you're not a contender, if you guys are listening to this and you guys are, rebuilding, don't trade him now. Trade him in season once the guy starts rattling off 150-yard games with 2 touchdowns.
That
Absolutely.
35 carry, 235-yard game week 7.
Yeah.
Trade him.
And
Cash it out.
Points per carry leagues. I mean, that guy's a beast, and he's definitely worth it. And, if you are a contender, make that offer now because you're going to get 2 years out of him. I think most people thought they were going to get that 1 year and then it was going to be, where does he go? And if he goes somewhere other than Tennessee, they got to use him properly.
Yeah. And he's a tough running back. A lot of those running backs we think expire, but look at Adrian Peterson. He was just built to last. And if anybody else in the NFL is built to last with that type of run style, it's Derrick Henry, right? He might do it into his 30s and might just surprise us all and be that Frank Gore type guy that you're just like, I was wrong. This guy's still here 6-7 years later.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he's in his own class. I mean, of course, we got the workhorses, but I put Derrick Henry in his own boat. Like, he's the work ox. Like, that's the, you take across country on the Oregon Trail. So that's the reference I always like to use. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. I'm actually working on an article for the Dynasty Nerds. It's a buy, hold, flip article, and my hold is Derrick Henry. So I do agree. This would be the time to hold him, let him accrue some value in season, and then flip him, especially with this loaded draft class that's coming up. So, yeah. Totally agree with those takes there. All right, so let's transition. Got some Madden news. Of course, last week we announced the 99 Club. So, of course, on offense we had Pat Mahomes and Christian McCaffrey, and defense you had Stephon Gilmore and Aaron Donald. But, of course, there's a fifth one. So we thought we had all the insights and, insider info with the leaks, but Michael Thomas just got added to the 99 Club. So do you guys think he deserved it? And I'm going to give you guys my take on it. But do you guys think Michael Thomas earned the 99 Club?
I don't think Devontae Parker thinks he deserves it. You see that Twitter beef there between those two guys? Yeah. He was saying he was much better. Man, that's tough because Michael Thomas has been phenomenal. And I'm a big Madden player. I don't play it as much as I used to back in the day. I think Madden, like 07, I was top 50 in the country because I was legit at it. But then I'm like, once you have kids, it's kind of tough to play it as much. I think he's close, but I don't want to quite. It's tough to give it. A couple years ago I would have given it to Julio, but Michael Thomas 99 rating's tough for a wide receiver for me. Yeah, I might have him at 97, 98.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's breaking records and stuff, and he really is the perfect wide receiver in every aspect of the game. So I mean, I put him right up there with Julio and Fitz and all those guys and even Calvin Johnson. I don't think there's any more he has to prove for me. So yeah, I mean, he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, and he has been probably for the last 3 years now. There was a time where we wanted to believe that he wasn't going to be the number one wide receiver, and we put guys like Odell above him and DeAndre Hopkins. But yeah, I mean, since his rookie year, he's just dominated, and I love him. Favorite wide receiver. 99 Club approved for me.
All right. He's a dog. Yeah, and you know what? For me, I think it was a win-win for EA. I mean, given we had all these leaks go out, so of course they had to throw a fifth one out there. That's how I'm looking at it. And if you're gonna throw a fifth one out there, why not put Michael Thomas in there? Because if he didn't get it, he'd be bitching all week on social media. So I think they kind of killed two birds with one stone, by giving it to him. So that's my take. But there is a sixth guy out there, Jalen Ramsey. He said he edits himself every year to 99, so it doesn't matter. He's already in there. So he's honorary.
He put
Jalen
himself
Ramsey.
on. Nice.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right. And the last thing that we got for what's the word? I'm given with COVID going on. We actually just had some breaking news a couple hours ago. So coming at least from Twitter. So looks like there will be no preseason games, of course, in 2020. And also roster sizes are expected to be 80 at the start of camp. So given this COVID stuff, looks like we're going to have a season. But my question to you guys, do we think we're going to actually finish a season though? So we're going to push and start one, but will we actually finish?
I think this
Go
is
ahead,
great
Mike.
news. I think this is great news, obviously, for the NFL. They were going back and forth, and the NFL wanted to at least have 1-2 preseason games, and obviously the Players Union didn't want to go with that. So I think it's great news for NFL in general. We all run these podcasts. We love fantasy football, and it's just a life without football just seems so difficult right now.
Trash, not difficult. Like
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Depressing.
Straight garbage.
If baseball's going to roll out, we got to have some football. I do like that they've increased the roster size. What I've been telling everybody right now, especially with, the COVID rule, where if you test, positive, you got to sit out 3 weeks, load up on them running backs. I feel like you have to have them handcuffs right now. The interesting thing will be to see if they play the whole season, and I have to believe, and Jared and I both have talked about this, that if they get it started, they're going to finish it. I feel like they have to be ready, and baseball and basketball are going to kind of be the guinea pig here and see how things go. I feel like we have to have a full season here. And if that's the case, make sure you guys load up on them running backs.
Yeah. Well, the NFL isn't one to be wrong. So if they were to stop the season early, that would be admitting that they should have never started it, which
Exactly.
I don't see them doing. So I agree 100%. Yeah, we've talked about that, and it is very exciting because this definitely confirms it. Who cares about preseason games? I've never given a damn about them. So I've always thought that they should get rid of those anyways. Every now and again you get one of your top players gets hurt in a preseason game or something, and you're like, what the hell? So for me, I don't know. I'm absolutely on board with depth might matter this year. It might be funky in some leagues where I don't know how many NFL guys are gonna actually get COVID, but if it starts to happen and spread around the league, there could be some weird teams winning games just because they have all that depth.
I was saying it's going to be crazy. Picture we're making the playoffs here and Patrick Mahomes gets COVID. He's got to sit out 3 weeks. It's going to be tough. What I've been telling everybody, I've gotten a lot of questions and I posted about it today. Those rookie wide receivers are going to be at such a disadvantage now. No preseason. A lot of those guys that just showed up, the Philip Lindsays, the Raheem Mosterts of the world, it's going to be tough for them to crack in. But be patient with your rookie wide receivers. And in redraft, I'm not touching rookie wide receivers this year. I'm going to wait till absolutely late and see what happens. I love a lot of these guys, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, but I'm going to let somebody else have them just because they're not going to have that time to really establish that rapport at all.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, you want to add anything to that, Doc?
I'm glad we're playing football.
All right.
I'm so happy for football.
Yeah. You hear it in my voice. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy.
But it's going to be interesting seeing them do this without a bubble, man.
That's my concern, the bubble piece. Of course, we got MLB, MLS, and even NBA. They're all inside of a bubble, and they're staying in that bubble. With the NFL, they're creating this practice environment bubble, but then these guys are free to go out into the real world. So that's my only concern. They're missing that aspect, but it seems like they're piecing together the plan as we go. It does seem like they've kind of came up with this at the last minute, which they did, and it took the players voicing their concerns. I'm sure you guys saw it on social media yesterday. For the owners to call a emergency meeting. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But you can't control these guys once they do go home, and I do think we're going to see a lot more retirements too coming up because a lot of these guys aren't going to want to risk their health. Can't blame them. And then some guys may even opt out. So that's something to be mindful of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's all Russell Wilson. Yeah, Russell Wilson tweeted today. Obviously his wife is pregnant, and that just creates an interesting thing there where, that's what you do for a living. But we got to look at it as you know, if your work environment was hostile and your wife was pregnant, I mean, you got a family to take care of, and
Yep.
we all want to focus on fantasy football and we want to focus on those kind of things. But I think we need to look at them from as a human being standpoint too. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
as someone who was working the entire way through COVID, you know, a lot of my employees didn't want to, and I had to, you know, make some adjustments and do things here and there. But it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But you got to think, like, if the NFL didn't stop Tyreek Hill from missing a game last year, COVID ain't going to stop them from having football, right?
Yeah.
Or is that a little sensitive right there? Was that a...
It's a lot.
That was supposed to be funny, guys. Come on. Where's your sense of humor?
Are we comparing Tyreek Hill beating someone to COVID-19 now?
I don't know. I have a bad sense of humor. All right.
My girlfriend's shaking her head. Let's move on. No.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on, but yeah. But to close it out, I do want everyone to watch the first week of August, especially the August 1st date, because that's where guys, you know, that's the deadline to opt out. So, yeah, you might want to push your drafts back to August, you know, after August 1st. Before we get to the main segment, though, tell everyone where they can follow you at, and of course, we'll close it out with that as well. But where can everyone follow you guys at?
Go ahead.
You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Refinery. Pretty active sometimes. Trying to get better. Mike is looking at me like,
Pretty
"You
active
son of a bitch.
sometimes.
That is the
Yeah,
weakest
yeah.
part of your game." Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm getting better.
Like me. I'm active.
yeah. We're brothers in that,
sometimes.
man. Like, it's tough though. Like trying to like break into it, and you just don't know where to start half the time. And I'm like, what do I retweet? You know, who do I hit back? But you know, I'm getting there. So hit me up. I love talking at Dynasty Refinery.
Yeah. I see Dynasty Dad out there every day. I'm sure he sees me out there.
I'm
every day.
grinding, man.
Hey,
I was
let's
grinding,
just
you know?
swap these guys out, man.
Forget
Yeah,
those
like,
grinders. Yeah.
Hey, Jared took back
These
his
guys,
account. He's ready
Jared.
to roll there. But you can find me at Dynasty_DadFF. You can hear us. We record every Wednesday. Very highly interactive with our, you know, our listeners and everything like that. And our podcast comes out every Friday. I write and rank over at Dynasty Happy Hour, so you guys can find that over there. And actually, next week, you know, we're going to keep doing the Dynasty Refinery, but I'm also doing a solo pod starting the Dynasty Dad podcast next week. So a lot of stuff going on. We're both excited about everything, you know, we're doing over at the Dynasty Refinery, and check us out.
All right. Let me go because I need to defend myself. Follow me at Dynasty Bro on Twitter. I am active sometimes. But
Hey, I've been trying to get you more followers, man. I tagged you in there. I put you and Jared as the running back on my fantasy team. You know what I mean? I think Vic was my wide receiver. You know, I was trying to hype you guys up a little bit.
I want to
get you some
say,
follows.
I think through you guys, my numbers have been running up, and I've been getting a ton of new followers. A lot.
Glad to hear
I
that,
want to
man.
thank
Good.
you guys. Two, I would like to say, I've been doing so much mandatory overtime at my job that basically ban phones at my job. So that's like
that makes it tough.
It's
Ooh,
like
that's
10, 11 hours out of my day phoneless for the most part. And then I always tell myself when I get home, I'm going to dedicate an hour to Twitter. I got a son that likes to put his head in front of my screen when I hold my phone up now. My son's about to be 2 in October. So like if I look at my phone, he likes to put his head in front of the phone so he can. It's hard to interact with the son's head in front of your phone. These are just excuses. I feel like Vic won't give me a hard time if I throw it on my son. That's like his nephew.
That's understandable, man.
See, actually,
You're gonna bitch about his 2-year-old son.
Yeah. Make me feel bad 'cause my son wouldn't be on my phone.
See, now I look like the asshole. and the bad uncle.
asshole.
And the bad
Yeah,
uncle.
you ass.
Hey, Jared, let's get rid of these guys.
I know, man. Forget about the Twitter activity. It's all about the information.
We got some rebranding going on. Vic and I are going to start a new one.
Yep.
Got to roll things out.
Dynasty Dad Sosa FF. How does that sound?
There we go. It just rolls off the tongue. It's so clean.
It's just the Jared and
Oh,
Alec
man.
podcast.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh man, you could call it your Sofa Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd
that
be
works.
good.
Sofa Dad.
All right.
Sofa Dad podcast.
That's with the
that's
Just
sexy.
Fans too, I think.
Yeah.
Because I can see you guys sitting on your sofas, just like on your phones, twittering it
No
up,
talking.
man.
There's no talking. Into
While I'm out
mics.
living
They're
my
just
best
on
life.
Twitter. They're on Twitter for an hour.
Yeah. Did you see that tweet? Did you see that tweet? So yeah.
Hey, speaking of tweet, where can we find you at, Vic?
All right. So at Chief Sosa FF. Hopefully I don't have to change my name soon, given all the Washington skins and all the social climate going on around names. But I think I'm safe, at least for now. Yeah, Chief Sosa FF, and then also the podcast at Dynasty Bros FF everywhere. So we got our DJ here. I don't know what his handle is this week. He changes it every week. So
DJ AVOLXVE. DJ AVOLXVE.
Yeah.
That is him.
That's catchy.
Yeah, follow him.
yeah, if you go to our Twitter, all of our handles are there on the main page. So that's how you do that.
All right. So let's just do a good transition while we're beefing and doing swapsies and everything. Let's talk about co-GM etiquette. So let's break this down. Co-GM in a league, it's where you have 50-50 partners ownership with a friend, coworker, anybody that's going to be your 50-50 owner going into this team. So you have to draft together, you have to trade together. Everything is supposed to be 50-50. And I'm tired of it. I'll tell you that. I'm tired of it. I've GM with one guy and one guy only, and it's been a struggle. So hopefully you guys got some advice for us to help smooth those things over, and hopefully we can give the listeners some advice on how to make it a smooth co-GM experience.
Wait,
So
before we
Yeah,
go
Mike,
further,
tell them how
So-
friendly we are.
Yeah. So Jared and I have very different styles, and we're both, dads with partial custody here. We do that kind of thing, and I feel like our relationship with Jared and I is co-managing is better than with our exes, but not that much more. Sometimes when it comes to our dynasty teams, it's like it's tough because we have totally different styles, and we try to draft those together. I feel like the biggest thing with co-managing a team, obviously the draft is fun, and you're doing the draft. And I feel like the first one we did was with Dynasty Degenerates with Frank Scandoro over at DHH. And there was a bunch of guys in there. I feel like for the most part, we enjoyed the process, but it gets tricky. We were talking about Jared works in seal coating and things like that. And he was super busy in the middle of the draft, and we have a lot of scenarios that we're coming on the board, and you don't want to, it's all about communication when it comes to co-managing. I mean, there is etiquette there. You got to make sure you're trying to do what's best for the team. And I think when it comes to player evaluation, Jared and I are on point. I feel like we're in sync 90% of the time. And some of our guests have joked around saying that we're too kumbaya with everything, trying to get along and make sure. But I feel like player assessment, we are right on, but I feel like when it comes to making trades and things like that, that's where you kind of butt heads sometimes, because it becomes difficult. It's like we're all different. I mean, look at Twitter. You put a poll out there, and I could look at a Twitter poll that you look at a Twitter poll, and we're like, man, that's a deal. And then you're gonna look at it and be like, man, that guy got ripped off. Dynasty, that's why I love it, is so vast of direction and what goes into it. So I feel like those are some of the pitfalls that we've fallen into. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I know there was that one trade. He brought up the seal coating because I was working, all right, and I hadn't checked my phone for, I don't know, let's say like an hour or so. I'm a foreman out on the job, so I can't be looking at my phone. I'm trying to set an example here, right?
Me and Jared might be the same guy.
Yeah,
we might be, dude.
It feels a lot like it.
I'm bonding with you right now, man. I'm feeling it.
Vic and I, we're the taller, Twitter active guys.
Cuter.
I mean, we got the shorter guy. Exactly, much more attractive.
Did you just call Mike cuter than Jared?
Well,
because I don't think you're supposed to judge like that.
I was talking about.
I don't know.
What kind of podcast is this? I think she might have been right about the porno earlier.
We're gonna
might turn into that.
Right,
we're gonna put that up on a Twitter poll. Now we're gonna go for attractiveness levels.
Tag, my fantasy league.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to tag MFL. They'll get it all going. So the trade he's talking about.
Hold on, no, Mike. I was telling this story.
To...
See, this is like me and him, just like
Let
he's
him
like
speak,
trying to
Mike.
swoop in on my
Quit cutting
story.
him off, Mike.
Yeah.
Let him
So
talk.
That's
so there was like, let me talk, Mike. All right. I like you. I respect you, man. All right. So 1 hour I didn't check my phone, and he goes and makes a trade. Now last year I was hellishly high on David Montgomery. Okay, I loved him, and we drafted George Kittle, and we got him like in the 4th round in a tight end premium. I think there was some crazy tight end scoring in that league too, and we had David Montgomery, and I think there was another piece yet, and he traded like all these players that I liked for Zeke, and Zeke is a Cowboy. All right, so like I love Zeke and all, and I try not to keep emotions, to bring emotions to the fantasy table because, just because I hate a team and I fucking hate a player doesn't mean I shouldn't own him. But like when he traded one of my favorite upside running backs plus George Kittle, who he knows I've loved him since he was a rookie. Like I've told everyone, get George Kittle before he breaks out. Like it was just like my guys, and he threw him away for Zeke, and I was so mad at. I swear to God, I wouldn't talk to him for a month.
We didn't talk for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Trade. It was Kittle and David Montgomery, and then we were on the clock for the guy, and the guy kept pressuring me. Frank, if you guys know Frank, there's hot takes Frank, and he's like, you got to make this move. He's like, I'm gonna move to somebody else, and I'm like, Jared says an hour, I say 5 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
He got in your head, man.
He's like, well, I got to make this move. And I'm like, well, I looked at the board and Austin Hooper was there. So we got Zeke and Austin Hooper for David Montgomery and George Kittle. So, I mean, we won out, but at the same time, like those were his babies. You know what I mean? Like that's
they
like
were.
If he trades Chris Godwin off one of my teams, I'm going to be floored, and I get that, but at the time you're just like, well, this is a move I would make. So let's do it. And I tried. He probably checked his phone. There were probably like 32 messages. My boss was ready to fire me. He's walking by, Mike's just texting away, but that was the biggest trade that we made where it was just like,
Yeah.
Drafting's fun though. That's the thing is like, we all want to co-manage a team. And if you guys haven't done it, I mean, I really suggest doing it. Jared and I are great friends. So it's, it can cause a little bit of a strife there, but it can actually make it really fun. I know
Two minds is great.
Yeah,
Two minds is better than one. We level each other out a lot when we draft because, I find that. Yeah,
it's
like some guys you're high on, and the other guy's like, yeah, but think about it, dude. This guy's better, and you're like, yeah, and that happens a lot. I find that we draft really good teams together.
Yeah,
it's the co-managing part of it's a matter of like trying to figure out who to start each week. You know what I mean? And it's like it's nice having two heads on that where you're like, oh, I didn't get a chance to check that roster because I'm in 15 and he's in 10. I didn't get a chance to check that same kind of news. Hey, did you see, Austin Hooper's out this week, and you kind of update that in there. The trade part's what makes it a little bit more difficult. And we co-manage, that league actually folded because a couple major podcasters didn't pay their dues. So we were like, I was like, I'm out. Jared, I was trying to win back his friendship there. He was so mad after me trading.
Throw the team away.
I don't know if you guys saw it in his eyes, but he's still fired up about it. It was like that same kind of passion as that playing career. But he was so fired up, and I'm like, let's just get out of this. Like two other podcasters that were in that league, they never paid, and then they left, and I'm like, I'm not going to be part of this. We ended up leaving, and but then we created a couple. We created 2 listener leagues for our podcast, and if you guys haven't done that, that's a lot of fun, interacting with all your league mates and just your listeners, and they're playing against you. And it's a blast. And in the second one, it's a 2014 2-copy, and Jared and I co-manage that. And, we love our team. I mean, we have Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, I mean, we're very, very studs and duds, Joe Mixon, but we've been having a hard time dealing with some of these guys. And it's funny because the listeners, they know Jared and I have totally different styles, and they'll go to him for a certain player and then they'll come to me for the other one. They won't.
And then we can't ever find a middle ground. So like making trades happen has just been hellish in that league. Yeah, it's a listener league, so they all know what we like, and it's tough.
Yeah, as soon as you hype a guy, then they try to send you that guy. You start talking about how this guy's going to break out, and then all of a sudden the 2 guys that have that guy, they try to trade him to Jared and I, and they try to pick, places against each other and trade with either of us just on Twitter, be like, which guy you want. So,
well, trading, we got a trading story.
Well,
nice.
Get into your pain points first, then the story. If you're cool with that, or do it how you like.
This is like exact mirroring. He's got a painful story here. I don't know if you traded one of his guys. I mean, what's going on here?
Okay, I do got a pain story. I'll tell you this. So, drafting is fun. I know you guys hyped up drafting. You didn't tell us a bad drafting story, so I'll tell a bad draft story. We're in the Empire League, and it's that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. They're doing a startup Empire League. Win 2 years, the league's over. I have always had a thing for quarterbacks that have rushing chops. I speak it all the time. So going into that year, my thing was, hey, if not Lamar, let's at least get Josh Allen. I wouldn't mind either one of them. I love both of them. my guy over here, I don't even want to tell the guy. Tell the guy that you were high on that we ended up taking.
We ended up taking Mitchell Trubisky.
Ooh.
This is before Lamar's breakout Heisman season.
That's a fuck up, man.
Hey, but at least, well, look, at least I can trade away George Kittle. And I fucked up at the draft.
I'm pretty sure that league was like 2 points per reception too for like it was like crazy tight end scoring.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But you got Zeke though, and so like, hey, Zeke.
Hey, I
Kittle
messaged
and
the guy
tight
who
end
took over our
premium.
team. I think he won it all, so he should at least help us out.
Yeah.
But you also got Austin Hooper last year, and he had a hell of a start.
Yes.
So that Zeke and Austin Hooper play doesn't look bad.
Damn.
But all year,
no.
can you imagine having Mitchell Trubisky on your bench while everybody's playing Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in your face? That hurt.
Yeah,
That's
Lamar
bad.
Jackson would really hurt.
Yeah.
That was a game changer.
That was my miss. My bad.
Sosa's over here like, let's move on.
I feel like with co-managing, we can talk about those wins together, but it's those losses that is like, especially
Yeah.
when that loss is that guy talking you into taking player X, especially when it's Mitch Trubisky. But like that
Trubisky.
really is something that you can probably toss in his face for. There's that fun thing, like Jared and I'll bring that up now where we're like, he's like, why don't you trade away, George Kittle? Like, why don't you go ahead and do that? And it's like, yeah, okay. We have that fun like back and forth.
One thing I will say is Mike talked me out of I really wanted to draft Gallup. Like I was all about him. I was like, dude, no way the Cowboys are drafting another receiver. I know I hate them, but I was like, you know what? Gallup is going to be that guy. He's going to be like what Godwin did last year. He's going to blow up. And Mike was like, nah, let's be level-headed. Let's not overdraft him. And we ended up missing on him. And I was so mad at him. And after they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I was like, yep, all right. That was a good thing. So he redeemed himself on that one.
Talking somebody down is always good. Me and Vic, we do real well with talking each other off of certain cliffs a lot, actually. So I will give him credit on that. Hopefully give me credit on that. We'll talk each other out of jumping out the window real quick.
Yeah. And I do want to share my biggest pain point with co-GMing is patience, like having to wait, having to, be on the clock, but you got to wait and get input from your guy. And I have jumped off the ledge in a trade. So I actually got a trade story. And I was actually hyped and feeling good about it to the point where I was like, Dot, what's wrong? Like, we just won. What's wrong with you? But I prematurely traded Cooper Kupp away for a 21 first without consulting my co-GM. I just knew that was the perfect trade. I still feel good about it. I actually told him, that I did that trade. What was your reaction?
Here's the thing. So the team was full of depth. I'm not gonna lie. We this is the same team we should have had Lamar on. We have a lot of depth on the team. So we were trying to move pieces to be like, okay, let's try to get some assets because I feel like we were stacked up top. And Cooper Kupp was probably like our fourth receiver. So fourth or fifth. So I was trying to get, it's only a 10-team league. I was trying to get a first round pick this year because I'm like, I can name 10 guys in this draft that I would love over Cooper Kupp. That's fine. And I can probably name a lot of guys going into next year's draft that I'm going to love too. But just at least we'll get one of these guys this year and then worry about it. I don't know how everything else is going to fall. So he calls me, hey, we got a first. I'm like, hell yeah, Jerry Jeudy. I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm just speaking guys into existence. Oh, we're going to get whoever we want. I go look at the sleeper team. I'm like, man, we're short of first for 2020. Hey, bro, I thought you just got a first. He went and just got a random 2021 first. And I know he's not worried about the guy's team, but the guy's team is actually pretty decent now. And we helped build his team up. So I feel like it can mess around and be the 110 next year. And I'm like, that doesn't sound as sexy for Cooper Kupp at that point.
It sounds like the same. I was all excited when I got the deal done. I think I was even calling him, and then you're like, "Oh, that's not it. That's not it."
Yeah. Oh no, he was so pumped. He's like, Jared's gonna love me for this, and I'm just like,
Twitter loved it. It was like 80.
betrayed me. No, I think my first response was, I was like, "Why didn't you ask me, Mike?"
I even think
You didn't talk to me.
I think Vic even retweeted it. You know what I mean? It was, we were active on Twitter while you guys were working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there in my office as a produce manager and be like, hey, go put out the eggplant. I got to make his deal.
I will say this: Vic is antsy, and I've seen him draft players where I'm like, I'd be like, damn, bro, he couldn't wait 30 minutes. It's like he just had to make his jump, and I'm like, guys have us sitting in the draft for a couple hours, and
that's a good point.
he act like we can't wait 20 minutes, like we're holding up the draft. We're never going to be the ones holding up the draft, but but those I get it though.
Yeah.
So
from my perspective, again, Cooper Kupp was on our bench. I'm like, okay, getting a first for a bench player, and we were already overloaded and having to consolidate and reallocate assets anyways. That's the lens I had going into it. But looking back, I definitely should have talked it out with him and exercised some more patience. So my bad again. So the Cooper Kupp and the Lamar Jackson miss. We're gonna let you guys know who we end up drafting in the 21 draft, and we're gonna put a poll up. Would you rather have Cooper Kupp or this guy? So that's coming soon. So be on the lookout for that next year.
Hey, you guys are sitting so close. I was like, if I would have known where Jared was, I would have drove down, and just started shooting the bull and see what we take.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about some stories, some pain points. What are some like additional tips or recommendations you guys got as it relates to co-GMing?
I mean, I like I said before, I actually advocate people trying it. Try it out for a year. Co-GM with someone. I feel like when this is all set up, we're going to set it up. Me and Vic are going to have a team, and Dots and Jared are going to set up a team for a new league.
We're down.
I'm already into it. Yeah, I've been thinking that the whole time.
Hey, that's where it's at.
Let's do it.
We got it all set up. No, I mean, I feel like it's a fun thing, and it can definitely strengthen a friendship, and it can help you talk a lot more about certain players. You've talked about it, talking guys off a cliff. Jared might say, hey, I like this guy better. Let's try to move on to here, especially in the draft. And you make some decisions and you test each other. You know what I mean? Like Jared might like a player better than I do, and I'll try to convince him why I like that player, and vice versa. And it makes you a better dynasty owner. I feel like
I agree.
I know, the more things you can do. I mean, Twitter and writing and all these different avenues as podcasters, it's just another thing where you guys can come together and learn more. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Play a game that we love. Ultimately, that's what it's all about, trying to win those championships and have some fun. Me personally, I've been talking to a lot of people saying, that $50 you pay for a startup, because that's what most of them are, you're looking at, it's like $1 a week. It's a matter of just paying for that startup and having some fun with it and make some moves, enjoy the process.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's like kind of like diversifying your portfolio. And I know the reason we originally decided to do a team together in the first place was like, we want to have like a ton more teams, but we don't want to keep paying startup costs. So we're like, what if we just split these startup costs and do a few teams together? And yeah, we ended up having a lot of fun with it. We've had, our ups and downs with it, but it does make you a better drafter, because I mean, being that like you're in someone's head, like he can't keep his own strategies from me, or like I can't keep my own strategies from him. So like I feel like we get to learn each other's style, and you recognize like points and stuff that the other guy makes that you're like, I didn't think about that before. And yeah, okay. I love doing it.
The most fun for me is we're doing the Dynasty Refinery Listener League too with it, and it's just fun because they see Jared and I clearly have different personalities. We have different ideas, and they're trying to like pick at both of us and trying to make us make trades, and it's like one of them's coming after. They know Jared won't trade Saquon he's going to want their firstborn child and 3 first-round picks and then some, so they're all trying to get Saquon off of me, and obviously his jersey's up behind me, and I'm the same way. They know if they want Mahomes, they're not coming to me, they're going to Jared. So they're trying to like, piece it.
They call me the housewife though. They're like, oh, Jared's Mike's housewife. Apparently, like I'm the little bitch owner. They're like, oh, Mike, is Jared allowed to do a transaction?
Are we getting back to like the male versus female, like who's prettier thing again, or what?
No. This all originated the last listener league we did. Mike didn't give me privileges to do like I couldn't make picks and stuff, and I had said something about it, and it was just funny because he had so much he was dealing with. He commissions like 1 million leagues, and he just hadn't added me on as like a, I don't know, I forget what you call it, but I couldn't do anything in the league. I could see it. Yeah. I hadn't been given housewife privileges yet. And no, everybody was just like, yeah, so Jared must be the little bitch because he can't actually do anything. And then Mike was like on the clock. I'm telling you, this guy, he loves riding the clock. Like he would go for like 6 hours, and they could see that I was like on Twitter looking at their shit. And they're like, dude, just make the pick. And I was like, I can't make the pick. I don't have the access.
Yeah.
I'll
You
say
gotta use
this.
that work thing both ways. Where, I'm like, hey, I'm busy at work. We were doing one the other day when I was in Pros versus Joes, and I was like, hey guys, I'm meeting with a client here. I'll be, I'll be back in like 2 hours. And the one guy goes, he's like, bitch, it's Sunday. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. I was like, my bad. I was like, I'm just gonna go have a drink with a guy, and he's like, yeah, tell your buddy you said hi and get your pick in.
Hey, I'll say this for the next like 2-3 days after that Cooper Cup trade, I went to work and everybody was like, well, shit, I'm just going to send you a first for Juju. Hey, I'm just going to send you a first for AJ Brown. Vic will take him. Vic's going to take him. I'm like, fuck all of y'all. Fuck everybody. I had to hear that for like a week straight. Hey,
That hurts.
This guy? I'd be like, can I get this guy? No. I'll just send a trade to Vic. I'm like, fuck y'all. Like, I'm going to see the trade myself. Hopefully I'm
Vic, you easy slut.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it all in, man. I'm just holding it all in over here. Hey,
Oh,
Doc,
man.
so what's your last recommendation you got or tip?
I agree with everything you guys said, Echo. Just get into it, man. I think it would make you a better player, just being able to have to learn how to adapt to somebody else's thinking, to training yourself with your patience, and really just slowing down and realizing everything, man. So it's not just always being antsy and jumping the gun on what you want to do. And I think it'll help diversify like the way you pick also, because you have your guys and you probably end up with your guys in a lot of your leagues. You'll fuck around and have the same teams looking the same way in every league. So get some different strategies, man, and build different teams and have fun with it. So I think co-GMing will give you a different way of building your team and different ways of thinking. So just try it out.
All right. My biggest tip would be, of course, a lot of co-GMs bump heads at the draft, but you can cut a lot of that out by letting the draft fall. A lot of times we spend time arguing over guys who don't even make it to us to draft. So just, of course you want to have some guys in your back pocket, but let the draft play out, let it fall, then discuss who you guys want to take instead of, bumping heads and clashing over someone who went 3 picks before you anyway. So again, going back to the being patient point that I made earlier, be patient in the draft, let it fall, and also be patient and give your guys some time to respond back to you too. So that's my biggest takeaway. So
I feel like the more you do, and we had Goat District on the other day, and they, the way they talk about drafting is just a science, and they've been doing it together quite a bit, and I feel like the more you do that, the more you understand, like, yeah, it's like you don't want to argue about a guy who's 10 picks away, unless you're going to trade up and get that guy, I just be patient, let him come to you. I feel like when you're co-GMing, it's a lot more difficult to trade up, it's a lot more, you almost got to take it when it comes to you. And, I feel like when this is all done, we should actually just set up another league and make everybody be co-managers, and just post a link to it and just have some fun with it,
yeah.
The co-managing league. Yeah, those guys, man, they're on another level. You can tell that they have co-managed several teams. Like they were 2 peas in a pod, there was no question. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course, we both knew that we would move back here to try to get this guy instead of like, a guy in the second round." And they were great. But yeah, me and Mike, you probably should have gotten them, because me and Mike, we're still working out the kinks a little bit.
I think that's what makes it more fun. I feel like talking to people that have executed it and understand it, there are lumps and bumps. I feel like most people aren't going to admit that, but there are some things that it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you're co-GMing a team. You split the cost, but you also split some of the headache too.
True.
Try it. I feel like a lot of people I talk to, they absolutely love it. Other people, you're like, everyone loves the draft. So at least get that part in and have some fun.
All right, before we get into the closing, can I ask him a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
We got a little time. Scott Fishbowl League. Shout out to y'all episode. I checked it out. Ryan McDowell had me on there. That's tight. I just want to ask y'all personally, y'all like the way y'all team came out?
Are you guys co-GMing that team, or you guys got your own?
No, we each have our own.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yes,
guys,
if we co-GM'd it, it would have been all kinds of.
Okay.
Ooh. What, Scott Fishbowl?
Yeah, tell me about your teams, man. Are you excited about them?
Ooh, I'm pulling it up.
I love my team. I mean, I went from the 5 spot. What I really liked, and thank you for listening to that episode. It was awesome having Ryan McDowell on. I mean, he's a true professional and pretty much, the godfather of Dynasty. He's the guy.
True that. True that.
And I went heavy running back. I started out with Zeke, and then I took Eckler, and then Godwin in the third, and then I brought Jonathan Taylor in the fourth round. So I went heavy running back, knowing that I could get my wide receivers late, and I got Cortland Sutton, Hollywood Brown, a bunch of like high upside guys. Because last year, I drafted really safe, and I ended up finishing in the top 24, but I lost as soon as we got to that level of the playoffs because you got to have those big time upside guys. And for me, I was swinging for home runs after I got those running backs. So Cam Newton, I took Daniel Jones, some guys that I feel like I have to swing for. It's 1,440 teams now, so you really got to go for it.
Oh yeah. Now that the draft is completely over, I feel like I can just talk about this, and it's nice because there was a few players that I was specifically targeting on my team, like Drew Lock, Matt Ryan. Those are guys that we talked about on the show before, that Matt Ryan has this every other year thing. If it's an even year, Matt Ryan is going to light it up and be an MVP. It's like
this is
that.
supposed to be that year.
Yes, and this is going to be that year. So, I mean, of course, Matt Ryan's going to be an MVP. I don't even have to question that. Drew Lock is my favorite breakout candidate. I know that, he's hot right now, and, a lot of people want to disbelieve because they're like, hey, I get it. He got the toys, but that doesn't mean he's going to be better. Well, he also got the offensive coordinator that I think is going to make him better. And as Mike knows, the first podcast that we ever did, the first guy I ever hyped on it was Drew Lock. And I compared him to Tom Brady. I was, you're a little bit nervous, and I'm just like, I didn't know how to go about it, and it just popped out of my mouth. I was like, he was like, what do you think a comp is for that? And I'm like, he kind of reminds me of the GOAT. And he never lets me live it down. He's like, oh yeah, Drew Lock's gonna be Tom Brady. But I think everything's finally coming together for him, and he got his wide receivers, and I think he can be good because he's a gunslinger, man. He might have a few interceptions, but I think he's going to put up some yardage. I like him. Alexander Madison is another like must grab for me. I got him around, I don't know, I want to say like the 8th, 9th round.
Yeah.
And
we both got him in the 9th, which was
good. He's like a must have. I got your boy Jonathan Taylor, took him at 312, which I really like. Dude, that line, right? Dude, that offensive line. Dude, forget about Mac, man. Jonathan Taylor all day. So Mike hates that I took and I hate it too now, but I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 201. But other than that, I liked all my other picks. I know. I was the earliest of all the Scott Fishbowl drafters to take him.
We got him too.
So speaking of co-managing
in the 4th round, right?
Yeah.
You guys, when you came on our podcast, you guys had to choose between Joe Mixon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that was the one that broke your back. And I feel like one of you was like, let's take Mixon, and then you changed it there, and that brought on the Ghost Pepper Challenge. You guys remember that?
Hey, that was my 2 picks, 112 and 201. I took Joe Mixon and Clyde, so I was thinking about you boys.
What do you guys think about your roster? I mean, I feel like aside from Stompy, we all he already thinks he won the whole thing. But the rest of us, where are we at here? How's your roster looking?
I really enjoy our roster. We kind of went into it with just being open. We didn't want to try to like lock in anything specific with strategy because we also wanted to make sure we don't close our eyes to just taking the most talented guys. So Dak ended up falling to us, man, and we did agree that, man, if one of our favorite quarterbacks end up falling to us, we'll take them, and then if not, we'll try to just get some on the back end. So we did get Dak, and I love Dak this year. Like, I wasn't worried about the contract thing. I knew he was going to play this year at least, so I love what they did. I love what they added. I think Blake Jarwin's a better tight end than Witten, and so I just think that just all the pieces for Dak, man. I love Dak, and we love Kenyon Drake, man. We got to the point where it was like, we had our choice of backs that we enjoy, but it's like, let's go who has the most high PPR upside too, and offense we want to get in. So we got Kenyon Drake with the 201, and we got Chris Godwin with the 312. We got the Godwin and CEH turn at 312 and 401, and we were shocked Godwin. We were shocked Godwin was there that late because we were kind of going to stack 3 running backs, but we couldn't pass up on Godwin. And then I don't know, man. Our first 6 picks, man, we were just like so excited about because we ended up getting the AJ Brown, Robert Woods stack, and I don't know, man. We when you start getting your guys, you start getting overly hyped. But we love everything we did, man. We did a run on tight ends as it got later, and then a run on running backs that have upside, like the Raquel Armsteads, the Benny Snells, the Duke Johnsons, the Rojos, just on the back end, taking those guys that could, if anything happens to the guy ahead of them, it's probably their backfield. So I don't know, man.
I love that Jack Doyle pick, man. Jack Doyle is a guy that I took on my team that I think is going to have an absolutely monstrous year, and it's just being overlooked. And I know Mike thinks that too. I love that in the 12th round. You guys actually got quite a few guys that did. Clyde, AJ Brown, Jack Doyle. Yeah. Oh, Jalen Hurts. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like that Caden Smith play. Hopefully Ingram stays on the field, but if not, man, there you go, plug and play.
I got him in the last round, and he's like, if you're gonna have a handcuff, that's the guy.
Yeah. Question: if Evan Ingram is healthy the full season, Caden Smith doesn't play, right? There's no way he plays over Evan Ingram if he's healthy.
No, he's not startable now.
I think he's shown enough though to get some involvement, kind of like the Darren Waller, Foster Moreau type deal. I mean, I feel like he, of course, when Ingram went down last year, Caden stepped in from like week 9. So yeah, I think he's shown enough to where he deserves some playing time. So,
you think they're like moving to a 2 tight end set? And
nah, they have too many receivers.
Too many wide receivers.
They have too many receivers for that. And Evan Ingram is an athletic beast. If he ends up having his healthy season, Caden Smith won't see the field enough to be relevant at all.
Yeah,
at all.
No, but he never stays healthy. Also, so he's not a bad.
We
flyer.
did that on our hot take show. I said if Evan Ingram is going to stay healthy this year and be the tight end 1 overall, and Jared's like, which is more of a hot take, that he stays healthy or he's the tight end 1? And I'm like, if he plays 16 games, it's in the realm of possibilities for sure.
I agree, dog. He's a monster, man. Like, hey, and still young. I mean, hey, you're only injury prone till you're not. I always say it.
It's crazy what he did his rookie year, though. Looking back, you know what I mean? Like rookie tight end, never
man.
Had.
No,
it's not a thing.
So,
man,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Evan Ingram. So screw it. I like him.
2 things.
You got
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say you got Mike's boy too, Robert Woods. Robert Woods is a league winner for him, man. He will love that pick all day.
Sir Robert Forrest, Bob Trees, Sir Robert Forrest.
Man, I love that Ruggs pick. Shit.
Yeah.
You guys got a good team, man.
For the upside, I enjoy the upside of Ruggs being your 5th receiver.
And that Marvin Jones, man, don't sleep on that. Hopefully he can stay healthy too. But I did want to call out, me and Dot, we didn't clash until pick 17. So our co-GM in relationship is like maturing. We still got
John
some work
Ross.
to do. But we didn't, clash until here. And then also notice we got the 112 pick. I mean, that's what we requested because I get a pick, he get a pick. So take some of the pressure off.
Man, do you guys want me to tell you the
That's what I did too.
Yeah.
Hey, get rid of the screen sharing so I can see them. I want to tell y'all the clash moment if you don't mind. It won't take long. Yeah. Okay. We got around the point where I'm like, all right, bro, we going for upside all the way. I pitched the name in the midst of everything going on, so I get it. I said, hey, Deshaun Jackson's right here. Do you want to take Deshaun or John Ross? And, I don't think Vic felt comfortable taking Deshaun with everything going on and the possibility of him still getting cut. Because in that moment, he's still on the team, and we don't really know what it is. I just threw out, went in my eyes, I went down the list, and I just had a true moment with myself. Who has the most upside if they were to play full season? So I just threw out a name, and he's not on our team. You didn't see his name, but.
That's why we clashed.
Yeah, where did you see Deshaun Jackson go in your leagues? Because I know he got taken in leagues. Yeah. And did you find yourself at any point with everything going on saying, with all this backup shit I'm taking, maybe I should look at Deshaun? Did either of you have to make that decision?
I think he went 17th in ours too, and I actually did debate it a little bit. I was trying to figure out. We're both Eagles fans, so for us, I mean, the upside's there clearly, and I think that was before like the real, obviously controversy has happened lately, but I considered it. I don't remember who exactly I took in the 17th, but Deshaun Jackson has the upside. Same as John Ross. One of those guys could have some flashy weeks there, but ultimately, I think they're guys that when a quarterback goes down or a running back goes down, we're going to be jumping to the waiver wire and booting one of those kind of guys.
True that.
Yeah, I mean it's tough with Deshaun Jackson. I mean the dude's crazy and he runs his mouth all the time. I'm trying to look here. He went in the 14th round, 1404 in mine, and then John Ross went in the 18th round. So, but
I debated in the 16th round between him and Robbie Anderson, and I just thought
he was on my mind too as well. I agree. Like he's one of those guys. I mean, it was the Redskins that he just completely destroyed last year before he got hurt. And you're just like, damn, dude, look at this guy. Like he's still doing it.
Yeah. Monster. So, whew. But that's just that. Just wanted to throw that in. All right. So look, we will go into closing. At the end of all of our episodes, we like to go round table and just say something good to the people, a positive word, something good that you have going on with yourself, family, community, anything. You want to show love to somebody. Just go around and make sure that we're spreading good energy before we leave to make sure, life's too short and you never know what the next day is going to bring. So I would like to do that with everybody. And I'll start so then you guys can get some energy and we can keep flowing. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who shows love in the fantasy community, man. On Twitter, I know we're trying to build a community on Instagram and just everywhere. Everybody on social media that reaches out to me that doesn't have to, that follow me, that tag me to things and just engage with me in conversation. Thank you to you. I appreciate you guys. I hope you appreciate the podcast in our minds, and just hopefully we can keep growing and keep building with everybody, man, because the fantasy community is like no other, man. It's so welcoming, man, and everybody is just excited to be doing one thing. And I love being a part of it, man, being how I used to do music, and it's completely different doing music because a lot of people are, selfish and want to see their rise on their own, and it's completely different than the fantasy community as we've been getting more and more engulfed into it. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that, man. That's my say something good to the people for today. So we'll start right here. Hey, I'm going to go with the guy that still has the bomb ass lighting on his face. It's clearly we're
ready.
right here, Jared. Jared, we're
you
right
see
here.
it in the background.
I know.
There's a guy like
No.
Yeah, I do see the ring, man.
Dude.
Now it does
It's like
look
that
kinda like
movie,
a
man.
scary movie.
You have
Oh,
7
it's coming.
days.
Yeah, you got 7 days, boy. No, dude. No, Dot, we are pretty much the same person. You're like, I did the music thing, the music scene. Dude, that was me, man. I did the music scene too. I've been playing in bands since I was like 15 years old, man. We are the same person. It's crazy. But, I want to give my shout out, my good vibes to everybody in this room, my co-host and you guys for having us on, because last time we had you guys on, I was like, man, I loved having these guys. Me and Mike seriously talked about how much we loved having you guys on. And like, we were like, dude, we got to go to Indianapolis and hang out with these guys because we would have a fun ass night, man. And, Mike is always grinding on Twitter because I can't keep up. And I mean, I don't know, man. I would like to put all my love out to the guys in this chat room right now. You're all great. And I've had a great time here in the last hour and a half.
Thank you.
That. All right,
Yeah, it's been a blast. Yeah, thank you for having us on. I want to talk to, obviously our listeners and Twitter. I mean, it is the most positive community as far as I engage with hundreds of people every week. And just the level of positivity, the level of like everybody wants to build each other up, and I love that kind of mentality. Definitely respect, all the spouses and girlfriends that let us do these kind of things. I'm not saying that because my girlfriend's sitting right next to me waiting for me, but honestly,
Wink.
I mean, yeah, exactly. She's giving me the wink. I looked over a couple times, but we Jared and I love engaging with our listeners. We love engaging with Twitter, and just this fantasy football community has been so inviting to everybody. You ask you go on and you message another podcaster about what's going on, and You know, I mean, we have Dynasty Rich from Dynasty Nerds coming on tomorrow, and I know you're writing for them. It's just you ask these guys, and it's like, yep, sure, love to spend the time there, you know, and it's so much fun, and we've had a blast being on here, and you know, it's in a community that we love being a part of, and hopefully for years to come.
Nice. Before I do mine, Mike, tell everyone where they can follow you at, and then Jared, we'll let you do the same as well.
Yeah, on Twitter at Dynasty_DadFF.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm at Dynasty Refinery.
Okay. All right, and I'm just gonna piggyback off you guys. I want to shout out all of my league mates, and of course the fantasy community. This is, you know, an avenue and vehicle that allows me to meet people who I probably wouldn't even get a chance to talk to or hang out with, you know, from you know, really any day. Just given we all come from different walks of life, so I appreciate fantasy football from that standpoint. Just putting me in front of people who, you know, I can make friends with. So who come from different backgrounds. So I think that's pretty cool. Before we do get out of here, there was a trade that went down. We're not going to dive deep into it, but I just want you guys to pick a side. So I want to shout out to T-Man and Sriracha Boys. They're in a league I'm in. CEH and Damian Williams or Chubb. Pick a side. 2 for 1.
Clyde.
Clyde for me
Yeah,
as well.
I'm
I'll go
going to agree
Clyde.
there because it's not really like 2 for 1. It's more like, you know, you get the handcuff in there. But I'm taking CEH is going above Chubb right now. I love Nick Chubb, but value-wise, it's Edwards-Helaire, and then you get the insulated wrist there by having.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean,
do you want
if it was Chubb
100%
and
of the
Hunt-
Chiefs backfield, 100% of the Chiefs backfield, or 75% of the Browns backfield?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Who you got, Dot?
Oh man, you know I'm taking the rookie, man. Just you probably
Sky's the limit,
honestly,
man. It's going to be exciting.
You probably could have just said CEH by itself,
Yeah,
without the insulation.
I actually would have did that. I would have done it straight up.
man,
I mean,
yeah.
so.
Give me that.
Dude, he's gonna be like a top 10 receiver at some point. You know, he's gonna have some PPR points.
I know,
It's
man.
jeez.
I actually got one done. If we want to do one more here, it's actually a
ahead.
league, and Jared and I are both in. It's a 12-team super flex, and Jared and I are probably the top 2 contenders here. And I got Matthew Stafford and Tyreek Hill for DeAndre Hopkins, Gardner Minshew, Preston Williams, and Hunter Renfro.
Yeah, I saw that.
Say
You
all that
bastard.
again. Say all that
So,
again. Let me
I
see
got
this.
Tyreek Hill
Okay.
and Matthew Stafford. Those were
All right.
like the final 2 pieces to my puzzle. I gave up Minshew, Preston Williams, Hunter Renfro, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I like your side. And I love
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, man.
Ooh, yeah, Matthew
I
Stafford's my
love
guy.
Matthew Stafford. So
Yeah, Stafford's a good ad for a contender.
I'm taking
Jared's
the
not
pieces.
going to like that. You
Unfortunately,
taking the pieces?
Yeah, hey, I'm a Gardner guy, so
Yeah?
yeah.
The way I was looking at it, I
Ooh.
got Minshew for a 22 second, and I have Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, and Baker Mayfield. So I was like,
Yeah.
I want somebody who's going to be able to play right off the bat, and I trust Stafford a little bit more than Minshew.
Yeah.
But
Man, this what sucks. He convinced me to like Gardner, right? So I actually love him, and I was excited. I love the way he dressed. I love his swag. Fine, cool.
that mustache.
Yes. I just had this real moment with Dynasty Bro Vic the other day. I said, dude, if their team sucks, there's no way they don't take one of those quarterbacks because their overall is going to be so bad. I don't care how well Minshew plays. If they end up with the number 1 pick, they're taking Trevor Lawrence, and that just
Yeah.
kills
Yeah,
Minshew.
absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of
Yeah,
slop
I got
time.
you.
I mean, one guy I engaged with a lot. I love DJ Chark this year, but there's going to be a lot of slop time. I mean, I see that as a lot of Blake Bortles, Allen Robinson kind of moves. You know what I mean? Where they're getting killed and just having
Even
to chuck the
Jameis.
ball. So.
Jameis
Yeah.
played in a negative script. They're always playing from behind, so he has to throw. So he got Shark, so that's a nice piece to play from behind with. So
Absolutely.
all right,
Hell
man.
yeah.
I definitely want to thank you guys for coming on. What's that?
I want to say something good to the people. Just play this. That's all I got to say.
Okay, our DJ here, and he said he wants to play something good for the people, so he gave me a clip, and I'm going to play it. Hold on, guys.
I don't know what's happening right now. Okay. That's Avo's positive word.
Does,
It's
does he play
positive.
that like and look in the
It's
mirror
inspiring,
and try to,
man.
motivates him a little bit?
They want to know if you look in the mirror and play that. I would. It's a motivational speech from a young lady I don't think none of us know. All right, it's just motivational piece.
Yeah. Oh man, you're not even gonna give a shout out.
I was more motivated to the ring in the background there. I'm still a little scared.
Yeah. But we do want to thank
7
you guys
days,
for coming on.
bitch.
That ring shit is fuck out of me now. I feel like I haven't seen it all episode, and now
7
it's
days.
She's gonna come out through the screen and start like whipping her head around. Yeah, it's no good.
Oh man.
Oh, my fiance kind of looks like the ring girl. Allison, get over here.
All
We're
right.
No
I'm
way,
gonna put on a
Allison.
show.
I'm getting off
There's
before he
no
get
way.
in trouble. See, yeah, he's about to get himself
I
in
know.
trouble. See,
I am in trouble.
can't give a man that much light for that too long, man. He start to he start to get.
It gets to your
outside.
head, man.
Yeah.
You gonna walk us out?
Yeah, hey, we appreciate you guys again. Mike, Jared, Dynasty Refinery Podcast. Check them out, man. I listen on Stitcher. That's my thing. But check these guys out, man. They're awesome. And I know we start following each other on Instagram. So
Yeah,
that's a thing too.
Ooh.
So man, just follow these guys. They're great. They're doing big things for the community. So appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys for coming on and helping us out. And I hope we gave some good tips and tricks on GM etiquette. And yeah, we're gonna walk it out. Appreciate the listeners. Love you guys, and we'll be back. Peace.